This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hey folks, we have a new sponsor here at the Crypto Conversation. Today's episode is brought to you by Coinsbee.com, the go-to platform for spending your crypto. With the biggest selection of brands across all gift card platforms and live in over 185 countries, Coinsbee supports the most relevant local brands for your everyday needs. They support more than 200 cryptocurrencies and offer a vast product range from gift cards, game points to mobile phone top-ups. Can't find what you're looking for? No worries. Coinsbee also offers Visa and MasterCard prepaid cards. So just go to Coinsbee.com and turn your digital assets into real-world possibilities. And now it is on with the show. My guest today is Christopher Brookins. Chris is the co-founder of RociFi, a DeFi primitive. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
It is always great to be here. Good to be back.
Good to have you back, Chris. Look, it's been a year or so excited to catch up with you today, get the update on what you've been up to, and of course, learn where you're at in terms of building out RociFi. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to just briefly reintroduce yourself right at the beginning of the show, Chris?
Sure. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name's Chris. I'm one of the co-founders of RociFi, a DeFi protocol that enables more capital efficient liquidity markets through on-chain credit scores, so that users aren't required to connect any off-chain pieces of information. All you need is an EVM-compatible address that has history to be credit scored. And based upon that credit score, you can be offered higher customized LTV loans on it. So a lot has sort of changed since the last time that we spoke. I think we hadn't launched. We've been live in market for a little bit over 12 months right now. And through that time period, we have served around 900,000 credit scores through our API. We have minted almost 40,000 Soulbound NFT credit credentials, and we have facilitated a little bit over 5,500 capital efficient loans, of which 1,600 were under collateralized. So there's been a lot going on over this past 12 months, but much like everyone else in the space, given the overall market conditions, a bear market, there's been some twists and turns, which we can double click into throughout the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right, Chris. So, of course, that's the funny thing about bear markets is they put the squeeze on everyone from traders to even the holders. It's just not easy grinding through a bear market. But if you're a startup or a new business trying to make your mark, it does become that much more difficult. But look, you're still here and you're still doing well, Chris. So maybe just to begin with, do you want to just speak to some of those pivots that you've had to make, perhaps some of the use cases or markets that you thought were going to work out, but perhaps didn't?
Yeah, for sure. So the biggest one is our original vision was to bring under collateralization, so a form of traditional credit, to DeFi. Given everything is over collateralized within the space, I'm sure everyone listening will understand that and know that already. We pivot away from that over, I would say, these past couple months, maybe 5 months or so, just given overall conditions. And what I mean by that is there wasn't a lot of demand for under collateralization. 85% of our users that were eligible for traditional credit, like under collateralized, they still chose over collateralized terms, just at a higher loan to value ratio. So we suspect that it's partially because of the APR, the additional increase in borrow rates that you'll have to pay for the under collateralized terms to get access to that leverage. Yeah. But just also lack of opportunity as well. It's like there's not much opportunity to take on that level of risk and pay that sort of borrow rate to like within the existing market currently. So with that, it made sense for us to scale back our risk profile to make sure that our protocol is actually is a bit safer while still not dampening or being able to service the majority of demand as well. So that's been a big thing. And also, quite frankly, I think the space is it's not ready for under collateralized lending how we were doing it, if I'm being entirely forthright. I think it'll get there. The right still the protocol and the team that brings that to life, but I think the leap from 2021 to where we're at now, it was just a bit too big. So maybe we fast forward to 2024 and things have changed a little bit, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And some of the work that we're doing with traditional finance players within their accelerators, we hope will help be that conduit or that bridge to eventually come back to trying to give under collateralized loans within this sort of blockchain space, because it's way more efficient, but also it allows users anywhere in the world to actually grow and cultivate a credit score and a history that can be used regardless if you reside in a very underbanked geographic, which I think is incredibly powerful for the future of finance, specifically for those users in those markets.
Sure. Thank you, Chris. And let's talk then a little bit more about this idea of on-chain scoring. And, I think you call it the Non-Fungible Credit Score. You talked about the Soulbound NFTs that I think are attached or involved as well. So maybe just explain this a little bit more and why or how this on-chain credit score can really be of benefit to a pseudo-anonymous individual operating in the on-chain DeFi space.
For sure. So in short, it allows you to show credit, reputation, and trust, your value. So you can show your value to users you're looking to interact with, maybe send a message to, or even protocols that you're engaging with as well, saying that I am valuable to your protocol or to your blockchain. There should be some sort of compensation or reward for that. Doesn't necessarily needs to be like airdrops and all that sort of jazz, which I'm not a huge fan of the airdrop hunters, but legitimate users who are power users of whatever it may be, protocol, ABC protocol on Polygon or ETH main or Avalanche or whatever. By having our credit credential, the NFCS, as you correctly mentioned, it allows you have a nice handy dandy digital representation to go to them and say, like, this is my value to you, but furthermore, I am also a good actor in this space. This isn't an address that's been spun up a day ago and got funded with $1 million, through Tornado Cash or anything like that. So it is a very good way, while still being able to preserve users' privacy in some shapes and forms, to be able to showcase that they are creditworthy, trustworthy, reputable, and also potentially valuable, depending upon which protocols they're looking to interact with. And we're working with a lot of zero knowledge proof providers right now to be able to integrate our credit scores and also our overall data as well, so that users can have an additional layer of privacy as well whenever they're taking this information or this credential that they own. When they own it, it's theirs, to some of these protocols and platforms, requesting different perks or features, whatever it may be, given what they've done on chain thus far.
And just tell us then, Chris, how is that score, how's that credit score calculated? I'm sure there's a little bit of perhaps secret sauce there, but I like also that it's slightly gamified, right? Which a lot of DeFi is now, and it makes the UI, the user experience, just a little bit more fun. It's what people are expecting now, almost, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think you're kind of alluding to our leaderboard, which we have on the main site, where users, based upon their activity within the platform, but then also more broadly as well, they can increase their ranking on the leaderboard and then be rewarded through special giveaways and perks that we run, I believe, on a monthly basis. So there's always a little bit of a gamification, I think, which is healthy, that we definitely do. But to your original question, how I tell people about this is I just look at it as two buckets. And the first bucket is your transaction history. And where have you gone? What have you done? And who have you done it with? And that can include interactions or transfers and receives from addresses that are known to be bad within the space, whether it's phishing, hacking, exploits, all these different bad things which have become commonplace within DeFi and Web3. So have you interacted with any of those? No. Okay. Do you like to speculate a lot? Do you like to trade? Do you like to stake liquidity, et cetera, et cetera? Is there some element of P&L? Like, are you actually generating a profit from all these different types of transactions and interactions? So the transactional bucket is really trying to understand money, like how much is there a cash flow stream, so to speak, that is being generated, but then also who are you interacting with? Is there more of a bad actor or fraudulent actor risk associated with it? The second piece, the second bucket, which has a heavier weighting, is have you borrowed within DeFi before? If you're coming to us or another protocol that has integrated our credit scoring and looking to take out a loan at preferential terms, or saying you should be treated to special perks or whatever, but you've never borrowed before within DeFi, then that's unlikely to be scored as best as possible for obvious reasons. So that is the second bucket. And we currently cover 9 EVM-compatible chains over a variety of different protocols, lending protocols on those said chains, including our own RociFi. So those are the two primary buckets that I tell people whenever they want to know how their score is being generated.
Got it. And you tie this to what you call a soulbound token, and I love this idea of a soulbound NFT. So just explain what that is.
So soulbound is just a fancy word that Vitalik created. So
yes,
our non-fungible credit scores were soulbound before Vitalik ever penned that stupid article, simply because they're non-transferable. Meaning if you mint your NFCS, you tie your address, your wallet address, or multiple addresses, which we offer that functionality to be able to bundle multiple to expand the credit picture that we can look at for you as well. You cannot take that address and then sell it to someone else so that they can use the benefits that you have accrued with those addresses. It is tied specifically to that particular address, i.e. soulbound. And then whenever you can layer it on, again, with some other zero knowledge proof elements that show that not only is this batch of addresses like non-transferable, but also it is tied to a unique identifier where it's a person, a Gitcoin passport, or whatever it may be, or even redacted KYC, then it becomes even more powerful. But in essence, our NFTs are simply non-transferable and tied to that specific batch of addresses that the user has bundled within our NFCS.
And look, Chris, speaking of interesting Vitalik blog posts, I was reading one earlier today. So this was published 2 days ago, a Vitalik post. The post is called "What Do I Think About Biometric Proof of Personhood?" And so he's talking about proof of personhood, or the unique human problem. How do you prove a real world identity is tied to, an online activity? And this is something that WorldCoin are looking at, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the question in general would be like, what are my thoughts on biometric identity, proof of personhood? I guess it's positive in some broad strokes. but it's also, I think it's positive in some broad strokes, but I know there's been a lot of privacy concerns around it. I'm not super knowledgeable on it, but I think anytime that you can provide a little bit of balance between the centralization of who's collecting that information, where's it being stored, and then how's it being utilized is going to be positive. So I don't know if WorldCoin is 100% decentralized or has and to kind of break up that information of all the people that they signed up with biometric screening. But obviously, it's something that is sort of tried and true because Apple has proven that with the iPhone for several years, where they're happy to put their thumbprint on it at first, but then Face ID came along as well. So I think there'll likely be some sort of growth with this, but with everything else in this space, it requires a little bit of a counterbalance, but also things are always vastly overblown as well. So I'm sure the concerns, but also the traction and everything that is being purported by WebCoin is vastly overblown in this space that we tend to do front run results by like 3 years or 5 years. So we'll just have to take a wait and see stance, but I think it's peculiar and something to keep the eyes on for Web3.
Yeah, and that's almost a pun there, Chris. Keep your eye on it. And if you do keep your eye on it, well, you're going to get your eye scanned. But if you do get your eye scanned, then you do get that's the whole idea. You get your retina scanned, and they'll give you some world tokens. Yeah, I think it's just an interesting idea because obviously the AI phenomenon of, say, the last 12 months, the rise in popularity of these large language models, and there's no denying the productivity boost. And so we're still at the very early days of the AI revolution, if you like. And I think, Sam Altman, to his credit, in my view, he can kind of see that where this is going, and he knows that it will be a big disruptive technology with a lot of knock-on effects around the world, and potentially one of those, of course, is perhaps a loss of jobs and the need for a UBI. We've talked about this. This is a recurring theme on this podcast, as you know, Chris. And it's gone from the theoretical to there may be a practical need for it in a decade or so. So if guys like Sam are willing to kind of run these large scale experiments, literally at global scale, then ultimately someone's got to do it. And who do you trust to do it? Do you trust a nation state to do it? Who knows? Or do you trust the founder of an AI company to do it? I don't know. There's no easy answers, but it's it's interesting, Chris.
The benevolent founder, the benevolent capitalist. Do you trust them over a nation state?
Yeah. Do we
great
trust
choices.
the VC? Yeah, no good choices. No good choices. All right, let's bring it back to RociFi, Chris. So, look, I know you've got a lot going on at the moment. I believe you've got an IDO coming up as well. So, yeah, give us some details on that. What's the rationale? What's the reason there?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're planning our token launch right now. Depending on when this podcast comes out, it'll probably be a month away. So we are announcing it and then organizing it and then really rushing to get to it because we think there's a lot of vital use case that it can unlock for us, but also our community as well. So whenever we launched, we did it without a token because we didn't want to muddy our product market fit signals. But now we've been able to do that, but also we see there's a lot of elements and integration and also collaboration that the token can unlock. Obviously, governance is one of those things to where we shouldn't be deciding on every asset that is supported and upgrade in X, Y, and Z, but also from liquidity perspective as well, making sure that we're incentivizing the right stakeholders that can take part in this protocol as well to grow the liquidity on the platform, responsibly, make it as sticky as possible, but then a little bit longer term, having the token mechanism as a way for the entire credit scoring apparatus to be decentralized, preferably running on a variety of different people's, not just cloud spaces, but even on their local machines as well. Kind of pushing towards the vision of sort of an open AI type product that actually is a community good and is actually trying to drive something forward. So I think that will be an interesting few steps down the board, so to speak, but it all starts with the token launch event, because that is the best mechanism to be able to start that process of decentralization and also development as well. But yeah, IDO is right around the corner, and we're really, really excited about it as well. That kind of come on the back of some really cool announcements of traction that we've been making with the project and team as well.
So, and we'll just to finish off the IDO stuff then, Chris. What else can you tell us in terms of where people can go just to keep up to date with that as we get closer? Tokenomics, what's the token called?
So the token will be called ROCI, ROCI. Shouldn't be too many surprises there. Everyone can check on, please follow our Twitter accounts. It's just at RociFi, ROCIFI. And then also our Discord channel as well. If you go to our Twitter page, the link will be there to be able to join. And we'll continue to pop all announcements in there as we push forward, including different links for the launch platforms that we'll be going with as well, for some users to be able to go in and KYC and pre-register, and then others as well to go through there to pre-register too. So really exciting times coming up, but those are the two primary areas to stay up to date on announcements from our end. And tokenomics and utility, I don't know if I want to bore too many. I kind of went over sort of the utility on it. The tokenomics, I think, would be more aptly dubbed, just to kind of simplify it, to where around 60% of overall tokens will be going to the community, including DAO Treasury, to support continued growth, not just now, but also in the future as well. And then the other 40% will be going to early backers of the platform, early team members of the platform as well.
Very nice. Thank you, Chris. Well, as we get closer to that token launch, then I'm sure people will be keeping an eye out for it. How are you going about, we talked about the difficulties of the bear market. How are you going about encouraging new users, wider adoption, I suppose, of the RociFi protocol? How are you attracting and maintaining your existing users, Chris?
So we're trying to reward them, our existing users, deepen our relationships, listen to them. So there's a product side, but then also there's a reward side as well, the carrot and the stick, so to speak. Well, not necessarily, but so the product side is we're listening to them. Where are we falling short on your expectations? How can we offer a better product that solves your needs and your pain points? And we've been doing that from day one. Obviously, there's certain hurdles and limitations with it, given we're operating in Web3 with the nons, but we've still been very, very diligent on that and continue to be to this day. Another reason why we deployed on ZK Sync and have made some sort of differentiations with some of the protocol versions that we deployed based upon user feedback and demands, et cetera. So listening to users, number one, and then rewarding them for number two. So making sure that people that have been within the community from day one or power users of Roci know that they'll be receiving an airdrop based upon their participation, and then being able to offer that ability to roll that over into our liquidity mining programs whenever the token is launched and those are fully kicked off is very, very important to us as well. in future states, we'll also be looking to, as always, expand out from our existing community. So we've got a really interesting analytics data platform. It's called RA. It's just short for RociFi Analytics, to where you can go in and user profile yourself. It's a really good tool for users to understand their own wallet history and behaviors, especially whenever they're looking to approach other protocols to say why, like, this is the value that I'm generating. Perhaps I should be able to get some kind of cut or benefit, or, you know, whatever it may be. But also it's a good tool for projects and protocols like ourselves to be able to look at our own user base and maybe user bases of other projects and say, you know what, this is a really ideal target client, or this 100 group of addresses is a really target ideal based upon their behaviors. We would love to have them as users and stakeholders within the RociFi ecosystem. Now with the token launch, we'll be able to go out and try to incent them over to make the switch, which is always harder within a bear market to sort of remove that inertia, because you're just looking for safety. You're thinking, as David Tepper put it, there's a time to make money and there's a time to not lose money. And in a bear market, people are focused primarily with the latter, just not losing money. So the token coupled with our data analytics is how we're looking to go out and attract the appropriate users, potential power users, and then incent them based upon their potential value to us to make that switch as well, versus just shotgunning or machine gunning out different rewards or airdrops or tokens to a mass of people that may not actually even need the platform that we have created around this robust credit credential, and then also the lending protocol as well.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Chris. You said earlier that you're working with various, I guess, TradFi firms as well. Yeah, talk us through what that looks like.
So we are currently participating within MasterCard's accelerator program, the crypto accelerator program, being able to explore how DeFi can more deeply take a presence within, or I'm sorry, how TradFi can more deeply take a presence within DeFi. So I think everyone understands the writing is on the wall. There's no faster growing area of finance right now than decentralized finance. It's still very, very small, but a lot of these large traditional institutions are trying to figure out how they can position themselves for the next 1, 3, 5, 10, 15 years within this space, as more and more activity comes on chain versus this sort of opaque and archaic financial system. So we are trying to position our credit scores and the data platform that we mentioned previously, RA, so that we can be that insight bridge, so that both these ecosystems don't live in silo and isolation. They can be interoperable. So TradFi users can say, okay, here are all the users within DeFi, and maybe I can cross-reference 1%, 2%, 5% of them to existing clients that we have ourselves, or our fintech or banking clients have and are looking to expand out offerings to them. How can we best serve them based upon this robust user profile that we have of them? And furthermore, how can we build out an additional user profile of targets that we potentially would like to go at and attract, whether that is through new product offerings, better perks, rebates, whatever it may be. But you have this new insight and data repository that you can spot hidden risks potentially, but also opportunities as well. And that is the area that we're most excited in exploring with MasterCard and been exploring for the past 2 months in the program. We've also just gotten accepted into another accelerator program with a really, really large and prestigious Zurich-based bank. I don't know if it's official yet, so I'll hold off on providing the name, but it's the same exact thing, but being able to show that or do that within wealth management. So given the rules, at least within the US, have been so muddy for so long, financial advisors and wealth managers haven't even been able to really touch this stuff. Thus, they haven't been able to really educate themselves. So clients have sometimes taken it upon themselves to just put their, do it themselves, go to the centralized exchange and even dabble within DeFi as well. That now is all changing because everyone realizes the opportunity, and also some regulatory bodies are making it more clear to understand. Same exact thing there as well. If you've got a client or a potential client, how do you know you should be doing business with them? But also, how do you actually service them based upon where they've gone and what they've done historically? And are there any hidden risks or also hidden opportunities there as well? Again, it's nascent in both of these areas. If anyone who's been in the space knows, but it is growing fast, and it is going to continue to grow fast, especially as some of these regulatory headwinds become tailwinds, whether through clarity or whatever it may be as well. So those are the two areas that we're seeing most interest in, and that we're really positioning our credit scores for RociFi firmly in to be that bridge, like that FICO of on-chain data or FICO of on-chain credit scores, to power the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of essentially on-chain finance.
Yeah, I love it. And well, I think you're well positioned to pull that off. So can only wish you the best of luck with that. Look, as we finish off this part of the podcast, Chris, look, just anything we haven't covered, anything new in the product rollout pipeline that you guys are working on at RociFi, and of course, for people that are unfamiliar, where should they go? What should they do?
So if you're unfamiliar, again, stop by our Twitter page at RociFi. You'll be able to get the link to our Discord channel, but those are the two primary areas where you'll be able to follow us, get announcements, get updates, but then also whenever I'm doing little speaking spiels on Twitter Spaces and some other things like that, to be able to again, just have a different avenue to ingest information, to understand what we've built, but then also the value of it as well. Other product rollouts, so to speak, we'll be deploying to Fuse, which is a different chain, is another EVM-compatible chain that is very much focused within the the SME, so like small business space for blockchain payments. That again, we're excited about because it can slowly allow us to lay that foundation for circling back to under collateralization whenever the industry is a bit more ready for it as well. And last, it's less of a product, a feature rollout, so to speak, but just more expanding the utility and integration. So if you go, so Sysmo is one of the top rated zero knowledge proof sort of like applications within the space, and our data, our credit scores, and also some level of our data is within their app store right now. So any developer can go there, leverage that, and build some sort of gating app or whatever it may be that takes into consideration some kind of privacy keeping notion, so that they can prove and attest that, again, with our scores, they are credit worthy, they're reputable, but they're also trustworthy as well. And then use that to expand out different use cases. We also have integrated or will be integrating with another provider called Zcloak as well, so that users can mint their ZK credentials as well to prove out very similar things. So the writing is on the wall. We're pushing forward. Like, this is, I think, one of the missing pieces towards the mainstream adoption within Web3 is having that privacy preserving component. And it's here now, and we're working actively with some of the top providers in the space.
I like it. All right, let's go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll finish off, maybe not with the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round, because we've done that before with Chris, but at least let's get Chris's I don't know, thoughts on the market, Bitcoin, all that good stuff. Back in 1 second.
This episode is sponsored by Coinsbee, your digital pocket for spending crypto. With an extensive selection of brands available in 185 countries and supporting over 200 cryptos, Coinsbee turns your digital assets into gift cards, game points, phone top-ups, and even Visa MasterCard prepaid cards. Plus, with fast checkouts using your favorite crypto, or even speedier with Binance Pay, Coinsbee makes it simple to spend your crypto. Visit Coinsbee.com today and get honey for your crypto money.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Christopher Brookins. He, of course, is the co-founder of RociFi, DeFi primitive. Look, Chris, I said we'd just kind of check in with you, really. I mean, back when you and I first started talking, you were, I guess, like you were a trader, you're a technical analyst, you're a market participant. Look, I mean, you're still all of those things now, but you've kind of been certainly swallowed up by DeFi, right? If we just kind of take it back to, I don't know, we've talked about the bear market, but just look at the macro picture, if you like, just for a second. Just kind of curious on your thoughts. I mean, for me, we're like, 8 months out from the next Bitcoin halving. The BlackRock ETF is, all consuming. I'm not sure if you saw today, but I've just been looking at today. Someone on Twitter has dug up a report by a couple of guys at BlackRock from 2022, but it was extremely bullish on Bitcoin in terms of its performance in portfolio, and no surprise there. But yeah, just love to kind of dig into your macro thoughts. Bitcoin, what are we thinking, Chris?
Yeah, I think I think similarly to a lot of people within the space, I think we've probably bottomed, meaning prices have likely gone as low as they'll go, and hopefully I'm not incorrect in that, but we're likely in some they can go lower for sure, but meaning like we're not going to retest the lows that we saw 6 months ago or whatever it was, whenever we had that real shitstorm with USDC. So I think we are in some of those elements. What is ultimately going to kickstart this next bull run is some sort of crisis that kind of forces the hand of the central banks, the power that be, to begin relaxing the monetary policy again, or there's some sort of subconscious relaxation of it. I'm not, thinking anything. I didn't create any of this. I just actually agree with some of the pundits that are out there, like Arthur Hayes and everyone else, that think there'll be some kind of like subconscious relaxation of it that will start to bring easy money flowing back in again. And I think that combination with Bitcoin's halving will reignite the next bull market. Could be totally wrong on that, but that's just kind of my hypothesis. And what that looks like over the next 8 months, I don't think it's going to be a straight line, not even close, but ultimately I think we'll get there. There'll be some weird event that will happen that was unpredictable. But ultimately, I think that is those two combining forces will be a very interesting catalyst for the next Bitcoin run. And then whenever Bitcoin goes up, all boats rise. So you'll see a rise in Ethereum, and you'll also see a rise within, the subsequent altcoins and everything else as well.
Yes, indeed. Very well said. Very well said. All right. Well, we couldn't finish off, Chris, without just checking in. What are you watching? Any good sci-fi on your radar at the moment? I think I think we've talked about The Expanse before, but that was a year or two ago. What's on your radar at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. So The Expanse has come and gone, unfortunately. I don't know what I don't think I'm watching really any legit sci-fi right now, unfortunately. I'm watching a lot of Shark Week right now because we're in July, and I don't know about New Zealand, but in July, the mid to late July every year, they'll do these sort of like semi-cheesy shark shows where
Yes.
they'll go around and look at all these different things where there's a lot of sharks, a lot of great whites within the New Zealand region. So I'm a bit of a sucker for that. So I guess I'm not watching any sci-fi or any real shows that are kind of blowing my hair back right now, so to speak. But I am watching a lot of Shark Week, which I enjoy despite sort of the canned and cheesiness of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think we do have Shark Week down here. I'm not sure when it is, but yeah, I'm familiar with the type of shark content you're talking about. Just if you want a sci-fi rec from me, Chris, we're watching Silo at the moment. I think it's on Apple TV, about 3 or 4 episodes deep. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, very good. Silo.
Didn't they just bring back Foundation too? That was
Yeah,
another one did you watch the first season of that?
yeah, I watched about half the first season. I didn't finish it, but yeah, you're right. I did see that they've just released season 2 of that. Another one I've enjoyed, Severance. Did you watch Severance on Apple TV?
Yes. Yeah, that one was really, really good. Yes.
Spectacular, wasn't it? Yeah, of course, season 2, and that ended on a heck of a cliffhanger as well. But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, we're stuck in writers strike hell at the moment, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah, I know. It'll be real curious to see whenever those that can get sorted because I think there was some really interesting things potentially on the docket, but yeah, who knows whenever that will get sorted. But yes, those Apple, I agree that Apple TV has been slowly stepping up their game and sort of putting out more and more content. I like cheesy. I do appreciate thought provoking things, but other times I just want things to kind of turn off and like cheesy spy thrillers where
Yes,
slow horses. I really enjoy that as well. If you've watched that with Gary Oldman,
yes, it's
that's another
brilliant.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Could not agree more. Look, hey, so good to chat with you again, Chris. Nothing else to say really. Again, just look, tell people where they can find you on Twitter or Threads or wherever else you like to hang out these days, and of course where they can go to learn all about the ROCI protocol.
Yeah. So go to Twitter. We're at RociFi. Go there, follow us so that you can get updates, join our Discord channel so that you can get additional updates, but also converse with other stakeholders to learn about it. Please go and visit the actual application, try it out, provide feedback. Would love to get that from any and everyone. It's ROCI.fi, and also make sure you're staying posted for additional information on our upcoming token generation event. We do plan that it will be the date will be finalized here in the next week or so, and then it will follow shortly around 2 weeks thereafter, just so you can be prepped, don't miss it, and you can have everything ready to pre-register so that you're in line and can take advantage. But yeah, those are the 3 primary areas where you can find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. That was Chris from RociFi. It was a pleasure to catch up with Chris. Thank you for listening to another episode. We reach the end of another episode. What was I saying? Silo. Yeah, Silo on Apple TV. And Chris is right. There's some really good sci-fi on Apple TV. Surprising. Actually, so Silo is good. If you haven't seen Severance, it came out a year or so ago, but incredible show, incredible final 2 episodes. Just, yeah, incredible cliffhanger. And as I say, yeah, I don't know when we'll get season 2 because of the writer's strike, but That is just the way the world works. Never mind. Again, please make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. Leave a nice review, all that good stuff. But mainly, hey, thanks for listening. All right, thanks team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See you.